From micro SD cards and SSDs to system memory and supporting massive professional markets in XR, AI, and beyond. Now that all may sound a bit lofty, but this is all part of the PNY technology story. And today we're going to take a closer look at their RTX 40 series super GPUs and answer the question on which one may be right for you. And it all happens right here, right now on Robeytech. Well, you finally did it. You decided to buy a new RTX super GPU. The hardest part is done, right? So which brand are you going to choose? And now that you've chosen a brand, which model are you going to look at? And you do know that there are multiple versions of the same model, right? Now, do you want that to be factory overclocked or not? Well, how about some RGB, or do you want no RGB? Are you looking at 1 fan, 2 fan, 3 fans, or a water block? So if you're reeling from the roller coaster of decision making, we want to help you get off of this ride by demystifying GPU product stacks and introducing you to some companies that you may not know that much about. And today is PNY Technology's Day in the Sun. Now, before we take another step further, we have to take a second to acknowledge that everyone has a favorite brand. And sometimes people can be fiercely, I do mean fiercely loyal to their brand, or sometimes it can be fiercely disloyal to another brand. And that's okay, but here's the deal, guys. We never want those biases to keep us from seeing the awesome work that other companies are doing as well. That's why in this video, we'll be giving an overview of what PNY has to offer and why you may have made a mistake by not even looking at them. So it's time to take off the safety straps and step away from the moving vehicle, because we're about to take you on a leisurely stroll through PNY's GPU roster in this edition of Robeytech's GPU Overview. Now, this is not a review, mind you. This is not that kind of video. This is all about who and the what behind the brand and how these may be a solid option for your next build. But first, let's do a quick history lesson, and trust me, this is good for context. In case you think the letters PNY stand for partially nude yak, actually what it stands for is Paris, New York. Now that is not to be confused with the town of Paris, New York, found south of Utica. This is a Paris, New York connection as an homage to the New York-based company's business dealings with Paris, France early on. PNY was actually founded in 1985 in Brooklyn, New York. PNY Technologies, formerly known as PNY Electronics, was among some of the first to buy and sell memory modules. They also launched a sub-brand dedicated to gaming, content creation, and PC modding called XLR8, or Accelerate if you say it fast enough. But even after all of that booming growth, they haven't left their roots. PNY is still serving up memory in everything from RAM to SSDs to even NVMe drives. So yeah, I guess you could say that even after 39 years, you know what, Brian? They're still making memories. Okay, so if you laughed or at least groaned a little bit in that one, why don't you go ahead and slap that subscribe button, whip that like button, and ring that notification bell so that you don't miss helpful PC videos and tech reviews like this one, or how-to guides or amazing dad jokes like the ones that just brought you this moment. Dad jokes really are the best when they are apparent. Get it? Oh, okay, come on. All right, now that we know a bit more about who PNY is, let's talk about their GPUs. And honestly, this is gonna be very simple. So PNY has 2 tiers of GPUs, the PNY branded Verdo and the XLR8 gaming branded Verdo Epic X RGB, which the name alone just sounds epic. Now, for clarity, the Epic X branding denotes that a PNY device is RGB equipped. So there are XLR8 branded devices that are available without RGB, which I know there's like 2 or 3 people in the back. Yeah, way back there. They're like, yay! Now both Verdo and XLR8 Verdo Epic X RGB GPUs are slightly overclocked over their reference boost clock speeds. So likely you'll see an OC in the full product name. We'll talk about how much overclocking these GPUs have in just a minute, but let's talk about what sets them apart from each other. PNY Verdo GPUs have a black shroud design with a simple metal backplate. Sporting no RGB whatsoever, these GPUs are here as a no-nonsense, just give me the graphics type of GPU. Now don't mistake simplicity for low quality. I mean, if Falcon Northwest, one of the premier PC build brands, is putting PNY in their PCs, that tells you something about the quality of these cards. Now, specifically, when we talk about PNY, their Verdo models are available at every level of the RTX 40 series super stack, designed to be as cool and quiet as they are performant. And they've scaled that design philosophy along with their GPUs. Here's what I mean by that. The PNY RTX 4070 Super Verdo sports a dual fan design paired with 4 copper heat pipes. But when we jump up to the PNY RTX 4070 Ti Super Verdo, it has a triple fan design as well as 7 copper heat pipes. Their 4080 Super adds an additional heat pipes, rounding things out to 8 copper heat pipes along with a triple fan cooler. These GPUs are priced at NVIDIA's MSRP, making them very appealing if you're watching your costs. So if Verdo is PNY's entry point, where do you go from here? You give your GPU an extra boost of Go Juice, beefy cooling, an Accelerate gaming branded backplate with a nifty arrow design in the cutout, and some glorious RGB. Starting with the RTX 4070 Super Verdo Epic X RGB, this GPU has an upgraded triple fan design which carries through all 3 of the Accelerate Gaming Super models. Like the PNY 4070 Super Verdo, the Accelerate version has 90mm fans as well as 4 copper heat pipes. When we jump up to the 4070 Ti Super and the 4080 Verdo Epic X GPUs, these guys are sporting 3 100mm fans with the stealth mode, as well as the same number of copper heat pipes that their PNY counterparts have. To be clear, the standard Verdo models have these fans as well. Now, the 4070 Ti Supers and the 4080 Supers also come with GPU anti-sag brackets that tie into your PC case's motherboard mounting standoffs, which makes them very secure and one of the reasons that you see so many pre-built manufacturers using these cards in their builds. Now, between the fans, heat pipes, backplates, and out-of-the-box BIOS settings, all of this comes together to support PNY's mission of making GPUs quiet, performant, and accessible. But that's just one mission. They have another one that we're going to share about in a bit. As for warranty, PNY GPUs have a 3-year out-of-the-box warranty. Now, we looked it over and can confirm that it reads like a standard GPU warranty. In other words, use it as intended and you're covered. But if you're going to do something wild and crazy, like try to use it to step up your own personal air traffic control system, you might want to think twice. And think twice more after that. It's not going to be covered under the warranty, but you know what? I gotta admit, 3 years is pretty nice. PNY also has a bug submission system on their website, so if something isn't working right, they want to know about it, and ultimately they actually want to fix it. Now that we have a better picture of these GPUs, let's back up a minute because we mentioned overclocking earlier, and now is a good time to talk about it. So let's talk about how these GPUs are overclocked and a nifty tool that PNY has developed to give users control over their devices. And tuck that devices part in the back of your head, it's gonna be important here in a minute. All right, let's talk about overclocking. Historically, PNY has actually shied away from overclocking. As an NVIDIA partner, they've been very intentional about keeping their GPUs in line with the reference or Founders Edition standards, making sure things like performance, thermals, voltage, and acoustics were actually in lockstep with the Founders Edition GPUs. Now, with the new Super GPUs, PNY has pushed their Verdo and Verdo Epic X GPUs a modest step further than the reference cards. For the Verdo GPUs, the overclock averages out to be about 0.59% over the reference on the 40 series Super GPUs. The 4070 Super takes a 0.61% jump in max boost speeds from 2475 MHz to 2490. The 4070 Ti Super jumps 0.57 from 2610 to 2625, and the 4080 Super takes a 0.59 jump from 2550 up to 2565. As for the Accelerate Verdo Epic X RGB GPUs, their max boost speeds average out to about 1.38% higher than the reference. The 4070 Super jumps 1.21% from 2475 to 2505, the 4070 Ti Super jumps from 2610 to 2640, and the 4080 Super jumps from 2550 to 2595 MHz. These are modest steps, but these steps are close enough to the reference points without actually going crazy. Also, given we've been looking at all of the brands and all of the different cards, these have matching overclocks to similarly priced cards from other brands, so you aren't seeing more or less comparatively across the stack. So what does this mean for actual gaming performance? Well, here's a good approximation of what you can expect from these GPUs, because remember, all cards are different, so your mileage may vary slightly. At 1440p and a feature-heavy cinematic title like Cyberpunk 2077, the RTX 4070 Super gave us an average of around 90 frames per second. The 4070 Ti Super gave us an average of 101, and it was an average of 115 for the 4080 Super. These numbers were recorded with ray tracing, ultra settings, and with DLSS set to auto. So basically, we didn't go easy on them. In Forza Horizon 5, we saw averages of 146 frames per second for the 4070 Super, 161 for the 4070 Ti Super, and 178 for the 4080 Super. This test was run in extreme settings with DLSS set to auto. In Call of Duty Modern Warfare 3, we tuned our settings for high frame rates by checking everything down while keeping on DLSS. In these benchmarks, we saw an average of 281 frames per second on the 4070 Super, 292 on the 4070 Ti Super, and 296 from the 4080 Super. And in Fortnite, the 4070 Super averaged around 434 frames per second, the 4070 Ti Super averaged around 494, and the 4080 Super smashed the 500 frame per second barrier by giving us an average of 505 frames per second. Like any other piece of tech, your mileage may vary, but we've been nothing short of impressed by the RTX Super GPUs. Now, let's say you wanted to have a bit of extra control over your GPU. PNY has a solution for that, and they call it Velocity X. Velocity X does a lot of things you might expect from software that supports a GPU. It shows current temperatures, core clock speed, memory clock, GPU load, GPU memory load, and fan speeds. That's not all though. Velocity X allows you to change your fan curve, adjust your power and thermal targets, as well as set a target frame rate. But let's say moving those sliders is just way too much for you, but you still want to push your GPU to its absolute peak performance. Well, Velocity X has a built-in utility called OC Scan that will scan your GPU and set overclocking preferences based on your actual card. This is a super nice feature considering that no two GPUs are going to be 100% identical. The silicon lottery is a thing after all. You can also save up to 5 presets, so if an overclocking profile doesn't quite work for you, you can always switch back. And if you like knowing how your system is performing while you're gaming, PNY offers a solution for that too. There's also a handy option to enable the on-screen performance monitoring feature built into Velocity X. Now, when it comes to RGB controls for the Verdo Epic X RGB models, Velocity X gives 5 different styles of lighting patterns, including flash, wave, cycle, breathe, and static. Each of these models have varying degrees of control over speed, direction, and brightness. But one cool thing that we saw with the static mode is that it gave us control over 3 customizable LED zones. If that's all Velocity X actually had going on, that would actually be pretty cool. But PNY just doesn't want to power your GPU, they want your PC to be powered by PNY. Remember that foreshadowing from earlier when I mentioned devices, plural? Did you also tuck away in that same brain space that PNY also has SSDs, including NVMe drives and RAM in their catalog as well? Essentially, PNY wants to be a one-stop shop for all your system supporting players and bring all of the control together inside of Velocity X. Okay, so we drifted a little bit from GPUs, but that's okay, there's a lot they have to offer. So let's bring it back to the ranch to put the finishing flourishes on this overview by answering one of the questions of which GPU is right for you. And remember guys, these are just suggestions, okay? If you're a system builder that's on a budget, but if you want to get into that mid-range GPU tier with an RTX 40 series Super GPU, the Verdo series will meet you at NVIDIA's MSRP while providing you with a small touch of added performance over the Founders Edition GPUs. These GPUs are also great if you don't want to have RGB in your build. Now hold on, hey, put the pitchforks away. It can be done and you can make some really beautiful builds without the extra lights. I know that's practically heresy around here, but we'll allow it. If, however, you're the type of builder that is conscious of cost, but you want those pretty lights, the XLR8 Verdo Epic X RGB models may be the right pick for you. Landing at prices at or around 5% over MSRP, the XLR8 gaming variants are still conservatively priced, and they have an added bump in performance potential, not to mention exceptional support from PNY's Velocity X software. The last thing I want to add, and it is a bit of a bonus, is that the card designs are nice and small compared to some of the larger cards from other manufacturers. So if you're going to look for a card that is going to fit in those tighter builds, but not sacrifice performance, etc., this is also not a bad choice given the cost. Remember, these are just recommendations. There really is no one-size-fits-all for anybody, and it's always really good to have options. We just want to help you kind of classify these cards into like tiers. So if you're trying to make a decision on what card to buy from what manufacturer, we're hoping we're making this just a little bit easier. So there you have it. Our overview of PNY's RTX 40 series Super GPUs has come to an end. Hopefully, you learned some historical facts and bonus featurettes offered by PNY that have given you a better grasp of their GPU lines. We want to give a huge shout out to PNY Technologies for providing us with the Verto and Verto Epic X RGB GPUs to check out, and for sitting down with us and talking about their brand and answering all of our questions. We hope you enjoyed this video format because we love helping to demystify tech so that you can actually enjoy it. Let us know if you learned something from the video about PNY's GPUs down in the comments below. And let us know what brand you'd like us to talk about in upcoming videos. So while you're down there though, go ahead and slap that subscribe button, whip that like button, and ring that notification bell so that you don't miss a notification each and every time we post a video like this right here on Robeytech. And if you want to ask additional questions about the GPUs or talk about builds or other different brands, head on over to our Discord server, discord.gg/Robeytech. Amazing place to talk to other like-minded PC and tech enthusiasts who love to chat about these very same things. And you know what? You might just make a friend. Also, you can follow us at Robeytech absolutely everywhere. Thank you so much for watching this video, and we look forward to seeing you on the next one.